The room is quiet, and the only sound breaking the silence is the faint hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. Outside, the night is still, the soft rustle of leaves barely audible. The clock on the wall reads 11:42 p.m. Inside this suburban home, everything is at rest, or so it seems. But in the dimly lit living room, a man sits alone in his wheelchair, his gaze locked on the slightly open door. His name is Michael, and for the past 2 years, he has been confined to this chair, unable to walk after a car accident that shattered his life. His body no longer responds as it once did, but his mind remains sharp, always alert, always watching. His wife, Sarah, moves silently across the room, unaware that Michael is awake. She's dressed in her usual nightwear, a soft blue robe that brushes the floor as she walks. Michael's eyes narrow, following her every movement. There's something different tonight. He's been watching her for weeks now, noticing small changes, little things that don't add up. And tonight, it's worse than usual. Sarah's footsteps are quieter than usual. She moves as though she's trying not to disturb him, but Michael is already awake. He's been awake for hours, unable to sleep, trapped in his own thoughts. He's seen her leave before, at odd hours, but he's never paid much attention. He trusted her. But tonight, something feels off. His heart starts to race as he watches her walk to the door, her steps deliberate, almost cautious. The soft creak of the door echoes through the stillness of the house. Michael's breath catches in his throat. He hasn't heard that sound in a while. He knows exactly what it means. She's leaving again. But why? Why now? And why so quietly? His gaze stays fixed on the narrow gap in the door, where he can just make out the outline of her figure slipping outside. She's gone, vanishing into the night without a sound. Michael's mind races. He's been asking himself the same question for weeks. What is she doing out there in the middle of the night when she should be at home with him? His hands grip the arms of his wheelchair tightly, his knuckles turning white. He wants to move, to follow her, but his body betrays him. He can't stand, he can't walk, he can only watch. His pulse quickens as he tries to push himself closer to the door, but it's no use. The sound of her footsteps fades, swallowed by the darkness outside. Michael's mind spins. What could she possibly be doing out there at this hour? He knows she's been acting strange lately, distant. Her smiles don't reach her eyes anymore. Her words, once filled with warmth, now sound hollow. He's seen the way she looks at him when she thinks he's not paying attention. Her eyes avoiding his, her lips pressed tight as if she's hiding something. But this is different. This is a new level of secrecy. His gut tells him something is wrong, but he doesn't have the answers. He can't even move from this chair to confront her. He can't ask her what she's doing or why she's leaving again. All he can do is sit in the dark, wondering, waiting for answers that may never come. The house feels colder now. The warmth that used to fill their home is gone. All that's left is this oppressive silence, the kind that only comes when something is hidden. Michael leans forward in his chair, his eyes still fixed on the door. He can't shake the feeling that something is wrong, that Sarah's secrets are too big to ignore. Time drags on. Minutes feel like hours. He listens intently, hoping to hear her footsteps return, but all he hears is the faint sound of the wind outside. The door is still cracked open, just enough to see the darkness beyond. He wonders if she's ever coming back, and if she does, will she even look him in the eye? What will she say? A chill runs down his spine as the thought hits him. What if this is the end? The door creaks again, but this time, Michael's heart doesn't race. He knows it's too late. He watched as his once vibrant, strong wife began to pull away, as if she were distancing herself from him. Her late-night disappearances became harder to ignore. Was she hiding something? He tried to talk to her about it, but she would always brush him off with a quick excuse, a forced smile, and a promise that everything was fine. But it wasn't. He could feel it in his bones that something was happening, and he couldn't stop it. Michael turned his attention back to the door. He strained his ears, listening for any sign that Sarah might be coming back. But the house remained quiet. The only sound he could hear was the rush of his own heartbeat in his ears. His mind wandered again to that moment in the past, to the man he once was, the man who could hold his wife close, the man who could protect her. Now, everything felt out of his control. He couldn't fix what was happening between them. He couldn't even walk across the room to find out what she was doing when she left him alone in the dark. It wasn't just his legs that were paralyzed. It was his entire life, everything he had once known. The hours dragged on. His thoughts continued to trouble him. The questions piled up, one after another. Was Sarah still the woman he married? Or had she changed into someone else? Someone he didn't recognize? Was it his fault? Did his accident push her away? Maybe she couldn't handle seeing him like this. Maybe the man she married was gone, replaced by someone she didn't love anymore. But no matter how much his mind raced, Michael couldn't come to any conclusion. He couldn't make sense of what was happening. All he knew was that he couldn't keep pretending that everything was okay. His wife, the woman he had shared everything with, the woman he had built his life around, was slipping further away from him, and he didn't know how to stop it. The trust that once anchored their marriage was crumbling, and he was powerless to fix it. Michael's hands trembled slightly as he gripped the armrests of his wheelchair. He hated feeling like this, like a spectator in his own life. But what could he do? He was trapped in this chair, trapped in a marriage that was unraveling before his eyes, unable to move, unable to take action. The frustration gnawed at him. The helplessness was suffocating. It felt as though the love they once shared had evaporated, leaving only a cold emptiness between them. The quiet moments he once cherished, sitting together, talking about their day, had become few and far between. Now she was always in a rush, always looking for an excuse to leave. And tonight, as he waited in the dark, he couldn't help but feel that this could be the breaking point. As the clock ticked on, Michael continued to sit in the quiet, consumed by his thoughts. The house was still, too still. There was no sound of her return. The questions in his mind became louder, more insistent. What was she doing out there? Who was she meeting? He wanted to know. He needed to know. But even as he longed to move, to chase after her, and demand the answers he so desperately sought, he remained there, paralyzed, trapped in the silence. The questions bothered him, unanswered, unresolved. And as the minutes passed, he couldn't help but wonder, is this it? Is this the end of everything we had? The question echoed in Michael's mind, hiding in the dark corners of his thoughts. He stared at the door, his gaze unblinking, waiting for a sign, a clue, something to ease the heavy burden pressing on his chest. But no answer came. The house was silent, too silent. The only noise in the room was the soft hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen and his own heartbeat, loud and steady in his ears. Night after night, this was the pattern. He watched Sarah leave the house at the same time, 10:45 p.m., every single night. She would slip out quietly, as if nothing had changed, as if everything was still the same. But tonight, something was different. Her movements were hesitant. Her eyes, usually filled with warmth and understanding, avoided his. She didn't meet his gaze. And there was something else, something in the way she moved. A kind of nervous energy that he hadn't seen before, a bit of discomfort. Michael's pulse quickened as he watched her approach the door. This wasn't like the other nights. She wasn't acting like herself. The faintest click of the door as it opened echoed through the stillness of the house, a sound that had become all too familiar. He could hear the soft shuffle of her slippers as she stepped outside, leaving him behind once again. But this time, he didn't feel the same calm acceptance that he'd tried to convince himself of before. He couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. His eyes never left the gap in the door. His mind raced with possibilities, each one worse than the last. What was she doing? Who was she meeting? He watched as she disappeared into the night, the door gently closing behind her. The silence that followed was deafening. Michael's heart pounded in his chest, and yet he was frozen. The walls of his world, once solid and safe, now felt like they were closing in on him. There was no escape, no way to confront her, no way to follow her, no way to demand the answers he needed. He sat there, motionless in his chair, the weight of his own frustration suffocating him. The same questions haunted him, but tonight they felt sharper, more urgent. What was going on? Why was she acting like this? The same late-night excuses, work, errands, meetings, had always seemed harmless at first, but now they felt empty, hollow. Every word she spoke sounded like it was crafted to mask the truth, but Michael wasn't sure he could continue to ignore the cracks in her stories. Sarah always had a way of brushing things off, of making everything seem like it was no big deal. A laugh, a quick kiss, and everything was fine. But it wasn't fine. Not anymore. His mind replayed her voice, the subtle shift in tone, the way she never quite met his eyes anymore. It was like she was avoiding something she didn't want him to know. Her explanations always came in the form of excuses. I had to stay late at work. Or there was a last-minute meeting. Or I just had to run to the store. But he could hear it in her voice. The guilt, the uncertainty. It was there, hiding beneath the surface. At first, he chalked it up to his own insecurities, his own doubts. But now, it was too obvious to ignore. The more she tried to convince him, the clearer it became. She was hiding something. And as much as he wanted to confront her, as much as he wanted to ask her, "What's going on?" he couldn't. His body wouldn't allow it. He couldn't stand up. He couldn't walk across the room to ask her. His body had betrayed him long ago. It had robbed him of his strength, his independence. Now, it was keeping him from confronting the one thing that mattered most, the truth. But the truth wasn't just something he could ignore. It wasn't just some passing thought he could brush aside. It was the heart of everything. If there was something wrong, if there was something she wasn't telling him, it would break everything he had left. He thought back to their early days together, to the man he used to be. Michael remembered the way Sarah would laugh, the way she would light up a room. They shared everything, hopes, dreams, fears. She was his partner, his confidant. But now, everything felt like it was slipping away. Every night, as she left him alone in the quiet house, every excuse, every late-night disappearance, it all chipped away at the trust that once held them together. The weight of that trust being broken hung heavy on his heart. He couldn't tell if it was him, if it was his disability that had pushed her away, or if it was something else entirely. Maybe he wasn't enough anymore. Maybe the man he was before the accident, the man who could hold her, protect her, support her, had vanished, and in his place was this man in a chair, unable to even reach out to her when he needed her the most. The feeling of helplessness was crushing. He sat there, day after day, watching her leave and return, watching the distance grow between them. He could do nothing but wait for her to come back, wait for her to tell him what was going on, wait for the answers that never seemed to come. But tonight, something felt different. Tonight, there was a desperation in her step, a hesitancy that hadn't been there before. Was it guilt? Was she feeling something that he couldn't see? Was she afraid of something? Of him? Of their life together? Of whatever she was hiding? Michael couldn't say. All he knew was that the questions were louder than ever, and with each passing day, they became harder to ignore. What was she hiding? Where was she going? Who was she meeting? The questions seemed endless, and with each one, the knot in his stomach tightened. The night dragged on. The house remained silent, save for the sound of his own breath, shallow and uneven as he waited. He didn't know how long he could keep living like this. The uncertainty, the silence, the absence of the truth. It was eating away at him. What was she doing? And why couldn't he move? Why couldn't he confront her? The door creaked again, but this time he didn't feel the familiar rush of tension in his chest. He knew she was coming back, but it felt different. This time, she would return with the answers. He could feel it. He just didn't know what those answers would bring. As the night stretched on, Michael waited, his mind racing with the same question, over and over. What is going on? The question lingers in Michael's mind, unanswered, echoing against the silence of the room. He stares at the door, the spot where Sarah had disappeared not long ago. His pulse races. His thoughts are frantic, scattered. Every night, the same routine. But tonight, everything is different. Tonight, the discomfort, the unease in the air, it's heavier, more urgent. He can't ignore it any longer. Sarah has left again, slipping through the door like she's done countless times before. But tonight, something in her behavior stands out. The way she moved, the way she avoided his gaze again, it's all starting to feel like a game he's no longer willing to play. The lies, the excuses, the subtle evasions, they've been piling up, and Michael can't ignore them. He won't ignore them. His mind races as he watches the door, his heart thudding in his chest. Every time she leaves, it's the same. The soft click of the door, the sound of her footsteps fading into the night, and every time he's left here, alone with his thoughts, alone with the questions. But tonight, something inside him snaps. He can't stand it any longer. His gaze shifts to the wheelchair handles. His hands tremble slightly, but there's a fire burning inside him now. I have to know. I have to find out what she's doing. His breath catches in his throat as he starts to push himself forward, the wheels of the chair moving quietly across the floor. The house is still, the air thick with anticipation. Every click of the chair's wheels against the floor seems to amplify in the quiet. Each small sound feels louder than the last. His heart races. What am I even expecting? He wonders. What will he find when he follows her? Will she be standing in the driveway, about to meet someone? Will she be talking on the phone, whispering secrets that he wasn't meant to hear? He doesn't know. All he knows is that he can't just sit here any longer. He has to follow. The wheels of the chair glide smoothly across the floor, but each click sounds like it could shatter the silence. He pauses, his breath quickening. He's not sure why he's hesitating. Every part of him wants to know the truth, but fear gnaws at the edges of his resolve. What if she hears him? What if everything changes in that moment? What if he confronts her and she turns on him? The silence between them now unbridgeable. He stops, just a few feet away from the door. His eyes dart toward it. The faintest creak of the hinges still echoes in his mind. He can't hear her footsteps anymore, but he knows she's out there, just on the other side of the door. He has no idea what she's doing, but he has to know. With a deep breath, Michael forces himself to continue. His hands grip the wheelchair, handles like a lifeline. His knuckles pale from the tension. He feels the weight of every movement, every breath, like it's his last chance. His gaze flicks to the door again, the narrow crack where he can still see the outline of the night outside. The world beyond is so close, yet so far away. Michael exhales slowly, and then he moves again, pushing himself closer to the door. His heart pounds in his chest. Every second feels like it's stretching on forever. The chair rolls forward with barely a sound, but to Michael, it feels like the loudest noise in the world. His pulse echoes in his ears, drowning out everything else. He's almost there now, almost at the door. His mind races through every possible outcome. What will I do if I catch her? Will he have the strength to confront her? To ask her the questions that have been eating at him for so long? Or will he just stand there, watching her in the dark, feeling more helpless than ever? The house feels suffocating now, the walls pressing in around him. Every sound feels magnified. His breath, the click of the wheels, the quiet hum of the refrigerator. The air is thick with tension. The questions are relentless. He can feel the weight of every one of them, and they press on him harder and harder. What is she doing? Who is she meeting? What is she hiding? And then, in the stillness of the house, he hears it. The faintest sound, the softest creak of the door, the sound of Sarah returning. His heart jumps, his hands gripping the wheelchair handles harder, his breath catching in his throat. He doesn't know what to do, how to move. His mind races with the possibility that she could be walking back in, and he's not prepared for the confrontation. He's not ready to face her just yet. But he doesn't have a choice anymore. He has to know. Whatever happens, he has to know the truth. Michael braces himself, his eyes locked on the door, waiting. His breath is shallow, his pulse erratic, but he doesn't move. He can't move. His body betrays him, refusing to take the final step. But his mind is made up. He can't let this go on. He can't live in this uncertainty. caught between what he knows and what he fears. The door creaks again, and he holds his breath, straining to hear. He waits for the sound of footsteps, the rustling of clothes, the click of the door closing behind her, but nothing, just silence. He shifts in his chair, leaning forward, trying to catch a glimpse of her. He can't wait any longer. He needs to know what's happening. He can't sit here and wonder forever. Michael pushes himself forward again, his mind set, his heart pounding louder with every inch closer to the door. He knows he can't just sit here and let the uncertainty consume him. He has to find out. He needs the answers. But will he get them? Or will the answers only lead to more questions? Michael leans closer to the door, his breath shallow as he watches the small crack, the narrow sliver of space between the doorframe and the wall. His pulse thunders in his ears, drowning out everything around him. The house is very quiet, but the tension is anything but silent. It feels as though the world has shrunk down to this one moment, this one question that has been gnawing at him, unanswered for so long. He strains to see her, to see what she's doing on the other side. The seconds feel like hours as he waits for any hint of movement. He doesn't know what he's hoping for. Maybe an explanation, maybe a sign that everything is normal again. But deep down, he knows this moment is the one that will change everything. He watches closely. His eyes were closing against the darkness. And then, he sees her. Sarah. But not alone. Another man is standing beside her. Standing too close. Laughing. It's an unfamiliar laugh. One Michael doesn't recognize. Her voice, light and airy, rises in the quiet night. She's holding his hand. No, not just holding, but touching him in a way she hasn't touched Michael in months. A way she hasn't touched him since before the accident. Michael's breath catches in his throat as he watches them. He doesn't know what to do. His hands tremble on the handles of his wheelchair. His mind can barely process what he's seeing. The room feels smaller now, as though the walls are pressing in around him, suffocating him with the weight of his realization. This isn't a mistake, he thinks. This is something she's hiding. For a moment, everything blurs. His vision swims, and the edges of the room seem to fade away. He can't tear his eyes away from the scene in front of him. His wife, the woman he trusted, the woman he loved, is standing in the garage, holding another man's hand, laughing with him as if there's nothing wrong, as if nothing has changed. His mind races. He's frozen, unable to move. The questions pile up one after another. Who is this man? Why is she with him? How could she do this to me? The shock doesn't hit him all at once. It's a slow burn that spreads from his chest outward, filling every part of him. His heart thuds loudly in his ears, and his hands go cold. Betrayal. The word repeats over and over in his mind. It's not a sharp pain, not yet. It's a dull, aching realization. Something deep that makes his chest tighten. His stomach began to twist. But he can't stop watching. He can't look away. He can't make sense of what's happening, what he's seeing. There's so much that doesn't add up. He's watched her for weeks, noticed the little changes in her behavior, but nothing could have prepared him for this. The man beside her is taller, broad-shouldered, his face unfamiliar. His presence, like a shadow, feels like an intrusion in the space that was once theirs. Michael can see the way Sarah smiles at him, the ease in her movements, the way she laughs, carefree. She's never laughed like that in front of him in a long time, not since before the accident. Before the accident, the thought stabs through him, sharp and cold. His life had changed, but he hadn't realized just how much it had affected her. He hadn't known that in the silence between them, she had found someone else, someone to fill the emptiness that was left behind when his legs stopped working. The man beside her reaches out, touches her arm, and for a brief moment, Michael sees it clearly. The way she reacts to his touch, how she doesn't pull away, how she doesn't look at him with the same indifference that she's shown Michael over the last few months. There's warmth there, a connection, and it burns in Michael's chest, a cold, angry fire that spreads through him, making him feel smaller, more helpless. His hands tighten on the wheelchair handles, the metal digging into his palms. The pain doesn't help him focus. It only sharpens the frustration. He wants to move, to stand up, to confront them both, but his body doesn't respond. He's a prisoner in his own skin, trapped in a chair that has already taken so much from him. Sarah laughs again, and this time, it's louder. The sound of her voice cuts through him like a knife. He can hear the joy in her laugh, the ease in her tone, and it crushes him. How could she? The woman he'd shared his life with, the woman who promised to stand by him, to love him, had slipped away in the dark, hidden behind smiles and excuses. And now he was witnessing it all unfold before his eyes. He feels the weight of the betrayal settle on his chest, suffocating him. He wants to scream, to shout at her, to demand an explanation, but the words don't come. He can't move, can't even reach for the phone to call her out. He's powerless. The scene in front of him doesn't stop. Sarah and the man talk, laughing together in the dim light of the garage. Michael watches as the man pulls her closer, their bodies almost touching, a closeness that Michael hasn't felt in so long. The sight makes him sick. The image burns itself into his mind, a memory he'll never be able to erase. His eyes are glued to them, but his thoughts are a blur. How long has this been going on? What did I miss? His heart aches with the weight of the questions, but the answers are elusive, slipping away every time he tries to grasp them. And then, just as quickly as it all began, it's over. The man turns to leave, his back disappearing into the night, and Sarah steps back toward the door, her face blank, unreadable. She enters the house quietly, as if nothing has happened. Michael remains frozen in his chair, staring at the door. His breath comes in shallow, uneven gasps, his chest tight with the weight of the revelation. The anger, the hurt, the confusion, they all mix together, crashing over him in waves. He wants to stand up. He wants to shout, to demand answers, to make sense of the chaos unfolding in his life. But instead, he sits there, trapped in the chair, unable to move, unable to speak. The door closes behind her with a soft click, and Michael is left in the dark, his mind spinning with the discovery. He's seen it all now. The truth, the betrayal, the life he never expected. And he doesn't know what comes next. All he knows is that nothing will ever be the same again. The silence in the house feels suffocating, like it's pressing in from all sides. Michael remains motionless in his wheelchair, his mind racing with the images of what he's just seen. The man, the laughter. Sarah holding his hand. Everything feels like it's closing in on him. Everything that once felt stable is now shaking. He can still hear the faint echo of Sarah's laugh, still see her smile at the man in the garage. The door creaks, and Michael's heart skips a beat. The sound is so soft, so subtle, but it's the one thing he's been waiting for. He holds his breath, his gaze still fixed on the door. The dim light from the garage flashes, casting shadows across the room. The garage door closes softly, and Sarah steps into the house. The moment she enters, she stops dead in her tracks. She doesn't even have to look at him to know that something has changed. Michael is already staring at her, his eyes burning with a mixture of hurt and anger. He hasn't moved an inch, hasn't said a word, but she can feel the weight of his gaze. The moment their eyes meet, Sarah freezes. She doesn't speak. Her expression drops for just a second, and Michael notices the shift. The guilt is written all over her face, so heavy that it feels almost visible. It's the look of someone who knows they've been caught, but not just in a small lie. This is something far deeper. Something that can't be easily undone. Michael takes a slow breath, trying to steady himself, but the words spill out before he can stop them. Who was he? The question hangs in the air between them, sharp and clear. His voice is hoarse, barely more than a whisper, but there's a firmness to it, a weight of accusation. His eyes narrow as he watches Sarah, waiting for an answer. She takes a step back, and he can see the immediate panic in her eyes. She stumbles for words, her lips moving without sound for a moment, as if she can't find the right thing to say. He watches her, each second feeling like an eternity. The silence is deafening, and it presses down on him, suffocating him in a way that only betrayal can. "Michael, it's not what you think," she finally says, her voice shaky, but there's no conviction behind her words. He doesn't believe her. He can't. The evidence is right in front of him. He saw it all, heard it all. The laughter, the way she looked at him, the way she held his hand in a way she hadn't touched him in months. How could she deny it now? Michael leans forward slightly, his hands gripping the wheelchair handles. The action feels almost desperate. His chest tightens with emotion. "Don't lie to me, Sarah." His words are firm, his voice now steady, but the pain in them is raw. "I saw everything." The words hit her like a slap. He can see the guilt flood her face, her eyes darting to the floor. She can't look him in the eye anymore. She knows she's caught, and she knows there's no way to talk her way out of this. Sarah takes another step back, her hands trembling slightly as they move to adjust the sleeve of her robe, a nervous habit she always did when she was unsettled. She opens her mouth to speak again, but no words come out. Michael sits in the chair, waiting, his stare never leaving her face. He's angry, but more than that, he's hurt. He can't shake the image of her with that man in the garage, the image that now replays over and over in his mind. How long had this been going on? How long had she been lying to him? "I don't understand," he says, his voice breaking just slightly. But he doesn't let the vulnerability show. He's not asking for an explanation. He's asking for the truth. Why? Why him? She opens her mouth to speak, but nothing comes out. He can see the weight of the moment settle over her. She knows she can't hide anymore. The lies, the excuses, everything she's been saying, it's all falling apart now, and there's nothing she can do to stop it. "I don't know what to say," she whispers finally, her voice barely audible. The words are meant to be a confession, but they don't feel like one. They feel like another excuse, another attempt to distance herself from the truth. Michael's anger rises again. He leans forward in his chair, the movement sharp, determined. He doesn't want to hear her excuses anymore. He wants answers. He wants truth. He needs to know why she did this to him. "Don't," he says, cutting her off. "Don't give me that. I saw you, Sarah. You were laughing. You were holding his hand like you used to hold mine." His voice wavers slightly, but he catches himself. He's not going to let her off the hook. Not this time. The tears well in Sarah's eyes, but they don't fall. She's frozen, unable to move, unable to find the right words. She knows that everything she says from here on out won't change what's already been seen. The damage has been done, and she can't take it back. She takes a slow, shaky breath. "Michael, She stops. Her voice was shaking. She doesn't know what to say anymore. The words she's been using for weeks, for months, to justify her actions, they're gone now. She can't use them, because in that garage, there was no justification. Michael doesn't speak for a long moment. He just watches her, his mind racing, his heart pounding. It's hard to breathe, hard to think. He can't believe what's happening. Everything he thought he knew about their life, about their love, feels like it's slipping through his fingers. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, he speaks again, his voice low and cold. "How long, Sarah? How long has this been going on?" Her eyes move to his, but she doesn't answer right away. The silence between them is thick, suffocating. The weight of his question hangs in the air, and Michael can see it. He can see the guilt in her face, the shame. She can't hide it anymore. She tries again, but her words are lost. She doesn't know how to explain herself, doesn't know how to make him understand. Michael's hands tighten on the wheelchair handles, his knuckles white from the pressure. He's done with the lies. He's done with the half-truths. He's done with the silence. "I don't want excuses, Sarah. I just want the truth." The words hang in the air between them, sharp and cold. The silence that follows is thick, a heavy weight pressing down on both of them. Michael watches her, his eyes burning with the fury and hurt that's been building for so long. He wants to scream, to demand answers, but he stays silent, waiting for her to speak. She's the one who has to explain now. She's the one who needs to answer for everything. Sarah stands there, her hands trembling by her sides. Her lips part, but no words come out. She looks at the floor, her eyes move away from his, unable to meet his eyes. The guilt is clear on her face, but she's not crying. Not yet. Instead, there's a deep shame that covers her like a blanket. I didn't mean for this to happen, Michael, she finally says, her voice cracking as the words leave her lips. It wasn't what it seemed. Michael's chest tightens. It wasn't what it seemed? His mind races, trying to piece together what she could possibly mean. He saw it all. He heard it all. He saw her laugh with the man, saw her touch him the way she used to touch him, something she hadn't done in a long time. How could she stand there and say that? The words she speaks sound empty, like promises that have no substance. His gaze hardens as he watches her try to explain. It's not enough. Nothing she says can make this better. Nothing can take away the betrayal. You were with him, Sarah, Michael says, his voice low but steady. I saw it with my own eyes. Don't tell me it wasn't what it seemed. She winces, and for a moment, Michael wonders if she's finally going to break down, if the guilt will finally overcome her. But she doesn't. Instead, she takes a deep breath, like she's trying to steady herself. She's trying to gather her thoughts, to put together an explanation that will somehow make this all okay. I didn't mean for it to go this far, Michael, she says, her voice softer now. I was lonely. You were always so distant after the accident. You couldn't even stand. You couldn't walk, and She falters, unable to continue. Michael doesn't interrupt. He doesn't say a word, but his mind is screaming. Lonely? How long had she been feeling like this? How long had she been hiding this from him? The accident had taken so much from him. He knew that. He had known that it changed everything, but he didn't know it was tearing their marriage apart. Sarah finally looks up at him, but her eyes don't meet his. They move around, avoiding him, like she's searching for the right words. I never meant to hurt you, she says quietly. You were always so focused on recovering. I just wanted to feel loved again. Michael's heart tightens at her words, but there's something inside him, a sharp anger, that won't let him soften just yet. She wanted to feel loved again? What about him? What about the man who had loved her for years? The man who had stood by her side through everything, only to be left in the dark now, unable to even stand up and fight for his marriage. She continues, her voice quieter now. I was lost, Michael. I didn't know who I was anymore. I needed someone to talk to, someone to understand me. And he was there. She swallows hard, her throat tightening as if saying the words out loud makes them real. Is that all? Michael says, his voice cold. He can't stop himself now. The anger, the hurt, it's all bubbling to the surface, and it feels like it's threatening to overwhelm him. He grips the chair tighter, but it doesn't help. The pain is still there, inside of him, gnawing at him. You needed someone to talk to? And now you're telling me you never meant to hurt me? Sarah's eyes well with tears now, but she doesn't let them fall. She shakes her head, her lips trembling. I didn't mean to hurt you, Michael. I didn't want this. I never wanted to hurt you. Michael's chest tightens with every word she speaks. He can feel the shift inside him, the part of him that wants to believe her, that wants to understand, but there's another part that's too angry to care, too hurt to listen. Then why, Sarah? Why him? The question is the same as before, but it sounds even heavier now. He's not sure he's ready to hear the answer, but he has to know. Why him? Why did you let it go this far? She stands there for a long moment, her eyes downcast, the shame still written across her face. She's ashamed of what she's done, but is that enough to fix what's broken? Is it enough to heal the trust that's been shattered between them? I don't know, Michael, she says softly, the words barely a whisper. I just needed something, someone. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was a mistake. The word hangs in the air, but it feels wrong. This doesn't feel like a mistake. A mistake is an accident, a misstep. This was deliberate. She chose to go out there, to meet him, to let herself get close to him. Michael knows this. He can't pretend anymore. Her voice shakes as she continues. I love you, Michael. I do. But I've been so lost, So empty. I never meant for this to happen. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Her apology sounds empty, like a final attempt to salvage something that's already been broken beyond repair. She says she loves him, but can he believe her? Can he trust her after everything that's happened? The question hangs in the air, and Michael feels the weight of it. Can they rebuild? Can they find their way back from this? He wants to believe her. He wants to, but he doesn't know if it's possible. Everything she says sounds like a weak voice, barely holding together. Each word, each explanation, feels weaker than the last. And in the back of his mind, Michael knows that once trust is broken, it's never the same. No matter how many apologies are given, no matter how many promises are made, the damage can't always be undone. "I'm sorry," she whispers again, this time her voice full of tears. But Michael doesn't know if he can forgive her. He doesn't know if he can look at her the same way again. And so, the silence stretches between them, thick and suffocating, as Michael struggles to find the words that will decide everything. The silence between them is suffocating. Michael doesn't know how long he's been sitting there, watching her, waiting for the words that will give him clarity. His mind is a mess of thoughts, emotions pulling him in every direction. His hands rest on the armrests of his chair, knuckles white from the pressure. His heart feels heavy in his chest, the weight of the truth pressing down on him with every passing second. His gaze never leaves Sarah, but inside, he's a mess. He feels like he's drowning, trapped in a storm of anger, hurt, and disbelief. Every moment that ticks by feels like a lifetime. She's standing in front of him, looking at him with those wide, tear-filled eyes. She's sorry, she says. She loves him, she says. But none of that feels real to him anymore. The pain is overwhelming, and it's not just the physical pain from his injury, though that's been a constant reminder of his limitations. The emotional toll of what he's just learned cuts deeper than any wound he could ever feel in his body. The betrayal is raw. It's not something that can be fixed with a few words, no matter how genuine they seem. Michael tries to focus, tries to make sense of everything, but his thoughts keep returning to the image of Sarah with that man, laughing, holding his hand. Things she hasn't done with him in what feels like forever. How long had she been hiding this? How long had she been slipping away from him? His mind is full of questions, each one more painful than the last. He looks at Sarah, and for the first time in a long while, he feels like he's seeing a stranger. The woman he married, the woman who stood by his side through everything, is suddenly someone he doesn't know. The trust they built together is gone, shattered in an instant. Can I forgive her? The question lingers in his mind, but it doesn't have an easy answer. He wants to. He wants to believe her. He wants to believe that she didn't mean for any of this to happen, that she just made a mistake. But deep down, he knows that it's more than just a mistake. She made choices. She made decisions that led her to that moment in the garage, holding another man's hand, laughing as if their marriage had never existed. The pain in his chest intensifies as the thoughts flood in. What do I do now? His mind keeps spinning in circles. On one hand, he loves her. She's the woman he promised to spend his life with. But on the other hand, how can he move past this? How can he look at her and pretend everything is fine when everything feels broken? Michael doesn't speak for a long time. His gaze stays fixed on her, but he's not really seeing her anymore. His thoughts are miles away, lost in the storm inside his head. He wonders if he's even capable of forgiving her. He wonders if he can ever trust her again. The question isn't just about forgiveness. It's about whether they can ever go back to what they had. Can they rebuild the life they once shared? Or is it forever gone? Each second that passes feels heavier. The silence presses down on him, suffocating him. He can't stand it, but he can't find the words to break it. His body aches from sitting in the same spot, but it's the emotional ache that hurts the most. It's the ache of knowing that someone you loved and trusted has betrayed you in a way that can't easily be undone. The weight of it all makes his chest tighten. He wants to reach out to her, to tell her that he's still willing to try, but something inside him holds back. Can he really forgive her? Can he truly move on from this? Or is it too much to bear? The love he feels for her is still there, buried deep under the layers of pain and anger. He doesn't want to let go of that love, doesn't want to believe that everything they built together is ruined. But the longer he sits there, the harder it is to ignore the truth. Her actions speak louder than any apology she can give. The damage has already been done. The trust that once defined their relationship is gone, and Michael doesn't know if he can ever get it back. He can see the tears in her eyes, hear the desperation in her voice as she continues to apologize. But it doesn't change anything. The more she talks, the more he feels like the distance between them grows. He wants to scream at her, to tell her how much she's hurt him, but the words are stuck in his throat. He doesn't know how to express the pain, the confusion, the sense of betrayal that's coursing through him. He thought he knew who she was. He thought he understood their relationship. But now, everything is in question. He doesn't know what to believe anymore. He doesn't know who she is anymore. For a long time, Michael just sits there, silent. He feels numb, the weight of the betrayal sinking deeper into his soul. He doesn't know what comes next, doesn't know how to move forward. All he knows is that nothing will ever be the same. The life he thought he had, the future they talked about, it all feels distant now. And then, slowly, he speaks, his voice barely above a whisper. "How can I forgive you, Sarah? After everything?" His question hangs in the air, unanswered, but it's the one that's been burning inside of him all along. He wants to understand, wants to find a way to make it work. But the more he thinks about it, the more it seems impossible. How can they rebuild something that's been broken so completely? Sarah stands there, looking unwell, tears streaming down her cheeks. She reaches out to him, but Michael doesn't move. He can't. The space between them feels insurmountable now. It's not just physical distance. It's the emotional distance that's grown between them. And as much as he wants to close that gap, as much as he wants to believe her, he can't shake the feeling that they've crossed a line that can never be uncrossed. The days stretch on, each one feeling heavier than the last. The house, once filled with life, now feels colder, emptier. Every corner seems to echo with the silence between them, a silence that's grown more profound since that night. Michael watches Sarah as she moves about the house, trying, no, pretending, to act like everything is normal. She's doing the dishes in the kitchen, but her movements are mechanical, as if she's going through the motions without really being there. The sound of running water fills the air, but it's distant, hollow. Every now and then, Sarah glances at him, but her gaze always shifts quickly. She doesn't meet his eyes, not like she used to. She can't. Not now. Michael sits in his wheelchair, his eyes never leaving her. His heart aches as he watches her try to go about her day, trying to make it seem like nothing has changed. But everything has changed. How could it not? The trust between them is shattered. The bond they once shared is strained, and he wonders if it can ever be repaired. The air between them is thick with the unsaid. They haven't talked about what happened since that night, the night of the confrontation. Since then, it's as though they're both stuck in this holding pattern, unable to move forward, yet unwilling to go back. Michael can feel the weight of the decision he has to make hanging over him, suffocating him. He doesn't know how long he's been sitting there, watching Sarah. The sun has set, casting a dim light into the room. Time seems to slow down in these moments. It's like they're both trapped in a space where the past can't be erased, and the future seems uncertain. Michael thinks back to the beginning, the first time he met Sarah, how she smiled at him with that spark in her eyes, how they built their life together. Their love had been effortless, a bond so strong that nothing seemed like it could break it. Their laughter had filled rooms. Their shared moments had created a foundation that Michael thought would last forever. But now it feels like it's all slipping away. The accident changed everything. He knows that. He doesn't blame her for it. Not exactly. But what followed, what had been building under the surface, it's what he can't forgive. It's what makes the walls of their life together seem so fragile now. He wants to believe that things can go back to the way they were, that they can rebuild, but it feels impossible. He looks at Sarah again, her face still turned away, focused on the sink. She hasn't said much to him in the past few days. She's tried, he can tell, but there's a distance between them now that he can't ignore. Michael thinks of the man in the garage, of the way Sarah had looked at him, the way she had held his hand. That image is burned into his mind, playing over and over again like a scene he can't erase. He feels the pain of it each time his thoughts wander in that direction. It hurts more than anything physical could. He wonders if he can ever look at her the same way again. He wonders if they'll ever be able to sit across from each other, hold hands, and laugh like they used to. The weight of it all presses on him, and he feels like he's suffocating under the burden of his own thoughts. Sarah walks past him, her footsteps soft on the hardwood floor. She stops in front of him, hesitating for a moment before she speaks, her voice barely above a whisper. "Michael, I know things have been hard. I know I've hurt you, and I am so sorry for that. I never wanted to hurt you, but I know I can't change what's happened. I can't fix it. I don't know what to do anymore." The words hang in the air, but Michael doesn't answer right away. His chest tightens at the sound of her voice, the remorse, the regret that he can hear in her tone. But it's not enough. It isn't enough to undo the damage. It isn't enough to make him forget what he saw, what he felt in that moment. "I'm not asking you to fix it, Sarah," he says quietly, his voice calm but distant. I need time. I need to figure out if I can even forgive you." Sarah nods slowly, her face softening as she looks at him. The words seem to be weighing on her as much as they weigh on him. But she doesn't argue, doesn't press him for answers. She just nods and walks away, leaving him alone in the silence again. Time continues to pass, each day feeling like a tug of war between holding on and letting go. Michael reflects on their history, on everything they've been through together. He remembers the good times, the moments that made him believe in the power of their love. But the bad times, the secrets, the lies, the betrayal, they've left a mark that won't fade easily. Can he rebuild this? Can he really forgive her and move forward? Or has the damage been done beyond repair? Days turn into weeks. They don't speak much, but the tension is always there, hanging in the air like a thick fog. Michael watches her, watches as she tries to make things right, but it's not enough. Not yet. The wound is too fresh, and he's not sure if it can heal. He spends more time reflecting, asking himself the hard questions. He doesn't want to live in a state of constant anger and hurt. He doesn't want to carry the weight of betrayal around with him for the rest of his life. But can he truly move forward, knowing what he knows now? Can he rebuild the trust that's been broken? One night, after another quiet dinner, Sarah sits across from him, her eyes filled with longing. She doesn't say anything, but Michael can feel the weight of her gaze, the hope that maybe, just maybe, they can find a way back to what they once had. It's then that Michael realizes something. He's been waiting for an answer, for the right moment to decide. But the truth is, there is no perfect moment. There's no magic fix for what's been broken. There's only this moment, right now. He's been holding on to the past, to the way things were before the accident, before the lies, before the betrayal. But he can't live in that moment forever. He has a decision to make. Michael looks at Sarah. She's waiting for him, her face full of uncertainty. But there's a quiet hope there too. He knows what she's asking. She's asking him to take the first step, to trust her again, to believe in the possibility of healing. And for the first time in a long while, Michael feels a bit of something he thought he'd lost. Hope. "Sarah," he says softly, his voice steady but uncertain. "I don't know if we can go back to the way things were, but I'm willing to try. I want to try." Tears fill Sarah's eyes, and she nods, her breath shaky as she reaches out to him. Her hand trembles slightly as she touches his, the warmth of her fingers sending a wave of comfort through Michael. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The room is filled with nothing but the soft sound of their breathing, the space between them both heavy with everything that has been said, and everything that hasn't. Michael gazes at her, seeing her in a way he hasn't in months. Her eyes are filled with sincerity, with a longing for something real, something they once had. The anger and betrayal still burn within him, but in this quiet, intimate moment, something else rises to the surface. A tenderness, a quiet hope that maybe, just maybe, they can rebuild what they once had. "I don't want to lose you, Sarah," Michael whispers, his voice soft but full of emotion. "I love you. I always have." Sarah's eyes well up with tears again, but this time they aren't filled with guilt or regret. These are the tears of relief, of the hope that she's still loved, that there's still a chance for them. She leans closer, gently cupping his face in her hands. Her touch is delicate, as if she's afraid of breaking him. "I've always loved you too, Michael," she says, her voice trembling but steady, full of sincerity. "I've made mistakes, and I'm so sorry. But I want to make this right. I want us to find our way back." The distance between them seems to shrink with every word, every gesture. The space they had been trapped in, the silence and the weight of unspoken things, is slowly dissolving. In its place, there's a warmth that fills the room, a warmth they had lost but are now finding again. Michael looks into her eyes, and for the first time in a long while, he sees the woman he fell in love with, the one who stood by his side, who made him laugh, who shared dreams with him. She hasn't gone anywhere, not really. There's still a spark in her eyes, a connection between them that nothing can erase. He takes her hand, holding it gently in his thumb brushing over her skin in a slow, calming rhythm. He leans forward, his face inches from hers. Their breaths mingle in the quiet air, and for a brief moment, the world outside doesn't exist. It's just the two of them, in this small space, trying to find their way back to each other. "I want to try, Sarah," Michael says, his voice soft but full of certainty now. "I want to rebuild what we had. We can't change the past, but we can build a future. Together." Sarah's face lights up, her lips trembling into a smile as she nods. "Together," she repeats the word, a promise between them, a vow to move forward, to find their way back, no matter how difficult it may be. The tension that had hung between them dissolves completely as they lean into each other, their foreheads gently touching, their hands clasped tightly together. Michael feels a spark of something. Hope, maybe? A new beginning. It's not going to be easy, but the desire to rebuild, to fight for each other, is enough. It's all they need right now. For the first time in what feels like forever, they kiss. Softly at first, a tentative touch, as if testing the waters of a new chapter in their lives. But then, as the kiss deepens, it becomes a reaffirmation, a promise that no matter what the future holds, they will face it together. The past may have left its mark on them, but the love they share has never truly gone. It's still there, stirring quietly beneath the surface, waiting for them to find it again. And now, with this kiss, with this moment, they are finding their way back to each other. As they pull away, their eyes meet, and Sarah smiles, her face glowing with the light of 1,000 unspoken words. "I love you, Michael," she whispers again, this time with complete certainty. "I love you too," he replies, his voice full of emotion, "and I always will." The moment feels like time has paused, like the entire world around them has fallen away. Sarah smiles softly, the warmth of it reaching her eyes, making Michael's chest swell with a feeling he thought he might never feel again. It's the kind of smile that speaks volumes, the kind that says more than words ever could. It's a smile of forgiveness, of a new beginning. And Michael realizes, in this small, quiet moment, that maybe they can make it through this after all. They sit there for a while, just holding each other, letting the quiet be enough. The world outside still moves, but inside, everything has shifted. There's still work to do, still healing to be had, but for the first time in what feels like forever, Michael feels a sense of peace. There's no more anger, no more feeling like he's drowning in the unknown. The path ahead may not be perfect, but at least they're on it together. As they pull apart, Sarah looks at him, a soft, knowing look in her eyes. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't need to. Their eyes speak the words that neither of them could fully express out loud. It's a look of shared understanding, of hope, of two people willing to fight for what they still have. But the quiet doesn't last forever. The weight of what happened still lingers in the air, The betrayal is still there, like a shadow that can't completely be erased. They both know that, but now they have a choice to make. The room, though filled with a sense of warmth now, feels different than it did before. It's not the same place it once was, no longer just a home, but a place where they've learned hard lessons. Michael knows it's not just about the words spoken in this moment. It's about the actions they'll take moving forward, the decisions they make to rebuild what was broken. What do you think? Could you forgive someone after betrayal? Do you believe in second chances? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your stories, your opinions, your experiences. Can love really heal all wounds? Or are there some things that can't be undone? If you enjoyed this story, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to True Crime Silent Justice HQ for more gripping crime stories. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you're always the first to hear when new stories drop. Your thoughts and engagement mean so much. Thank you for being part of this journey with us. Stay tuned, and remember, sometimes the toughest battles lead to the most beautiful victories.